Hey everybody, Jordan here with our ROI interview. I am joined today with Melanie Notkin. She's coming to me live from New York City, and thank you so much for being with me today, Melanie.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
So just a quick, introduction. There are many people out there who know exactly who you are, and as you can see behind you, or behind Melanie, you see the SavvyAuntie logo there. Melanie is the founder of SavvyAuntie, the lifestyle brand heralded by fabulous, kid-friendly women everywhere as a celebration of modern cosmopolitan aunthood. Is it aunthood or aunthood?
Well, I'm Auntie Melanie because my maternal family is British, but most people in America say auntie, and I say SavvyAuntie, so however you like it.
So to clarify, though, we've got SavvyAuntie.com, which everybody needs to check out. If you're a single woman without children, if you're an aunt, if you're a godmother, or if you're just a person who's interested in this very fascinating cultural event. And when I met you, Melanie, I thought, being an aunt, being an uncle is a great place to be because you get to show up and have all the good stuff and then leave when they start to scream. And you kind of shared with me something that was deeper than that, and I appreciated that. Tell me a little bit about that.
First, let me just clarify that it's not just for single women. It's whether you're single, married, partners, straight, lesbians, whatever your marital status, doesn't matter. The commonality is that we love children, not our own. Whether you've chosen not to have children, whether you're still waiting, you can't have children, whatever. But to that point, there is quite a very valuable opportunity for an aunt to have a very positive influence on a child's life. For instance, when an aunt plays with a child, we've dubbed that qual ante time. And I got that when I spoke to Dr. Rosemary Truglio, who's the head of research and education at Sesame Workshop. We talked about, Rosemary, how can I help teach these young children? And she said, Melanie, aunts are teachers. They're aunts. And that time that we spend with a niece or nephew, when we play with them, that actually helps develop their minds, their emotional development, their social development. So, for instance, when we're giving them a bath, they're learning about what sinks and what floats. When we're baking with them, that's science and math. When we're helping them put puzzles together, that's understanding spatial relations and motor dexterity. All of these things help contribute in a very fundamental way to their growth and development. Yes, it's true that we do spoil them with gifts, but when we play with them, that's really where we have fundamental influence.
Fantastic. Well, and for those of you guys who are watching this right now, you can learn all about this in this best-selling book right here, SavvyAuntie. You can find that online at Amazon.com, and I'm sure other locations, correct?
Yep.
So let's get down to some questions regarding ROI, return on investment, considering we're on ROICatalyst.com. Now, you started this company in, correct me if I'm wrong, was it 2007?
Yeah, I had the idea and started the development of the company in 2007, and I launched SavvyAuntie.com in the summer of 2008.
Okay. Now, most people who are entrepreneurs, business owners, start with an idea, a passion, right? They have an aha moment. What was your aha moment that launched this?
It happened actually a few years before. It was just after Thanksgiving. My nephew was about 2.5 years old, and he turned to me. Out of nowhere, thankfully, there were family members to recognize and witness this. And he said, Auntie Melanie, we're family. And I realized from that moment on that this child knew that he had a grown-up in his life who loved him, who would always love him unconditionally. What I also realized were that there were no modern resources for the cosmopolitan aunt. Everything seemed old Aunt Sadie with 12 cats and gray hair, and it was not the modern woman that I knew. And years later, I started to rethink about this idea and how would this apply to this community of women who don't have children, of which, by the way, nearly 50% of American women don't have children today. Doesn't mean many of them won't, but today they don't. And so we needed resources. Parents, you guys have so much on us, right? You got your books and your websites and your blogs and your community groups and things like that. We had nothing until I launched SavvyAuntie.com and now the book.
Now, how much of a process? You've answered a question I was going to bring up, but how did you determine from the aha to the launch that there was a need for this unique product? I mean, because there are lots of aunts out there, lots of godmothers, lots of, people who have children in their lives. Did you test it? Did you talk to people? What kind of process did you go through to get to that fact to say, yes, I have a unique product here?
I did a lot of that, Jordan. Thanks for asking. So first, I looked really at the basics. I went online and I went to the U.S. Census data, and I did the research. And in 2007, the latest data we had was from 2004, and that showed that women in America, 44.6% did not have children. So I knew that there was quite a big market there. I'm a marketer by trade, so I knew it was important to know that you had a big enough bubble to connect with. And then I met with girlfriends of mine. I called it the Ant Farm meeting. I had them all come over and we talked about anthood, and there were some women there who were mothers as well as aunts, and how some of them regretted that they never really made their nieces and nephews call them aunt this or auntie that, and some aunts who didn't have children of their own who kind of didn't care about being aunts as much as others. So we had this melange of women, but really the connection here was that moment that they became an aunt and that emotional need that they had to feel that they were part of a community. So when you've got the market niche, and so you know that there's opportunity for need, and you hear about an emotional need, and you connect these together, it can be extraordinarily powerful.
It's a great point. It's a great point. To take it off in a somewhat different direction, but in the conversation, is how would you define, obviously we're ROICatalyst.com. How would you define entrepreneur, and how would you define ROI, other than return on investment?
Well, an entrepreneur is somebody who wakes up every day knowing that the harder they work, with the strongest intention and focus, the better they'll do. And an entrepreneur never really stops working. They are inspired by everything around them. And it's actually truly a gift and a talent to be able to do that. It's not just starting a company. It's being aware of everything around you and how that inspires. In fact, I would say that entrepreneurs have an immense sense of curiosity, because they're not just focused on how to build their business. They're interested in how people react to their business, how other businesses are built, and how other leaders do a better job at building businesses. In terms of the definition of ROI, I think that if we tend to look at ROI as the end result of a 5-year plan, for instance, we may be going down, let's say, a road with less potential. What's so exciting about entrepreneurship, and going back to that theme of curiosity, is understanding that there is no straight road from A to B, and that ROI is really a daily occurrence. Because the fact that you got up on a cold winter day and went to an event, and through that event you met somebody who introduced you later on to somebody else who connected you to a business deal, that's ROI of getting off the couch.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, you mentioned the idea of getting out there, communicating with people, being with people. You have done an incredibly good job of doing that. You started 4 years ago when Twitter was nothing but a tweet in the background, but it exploded, and you really took advantage of that. I mean, as of today, you have, is it 16,500 followers on Twitter? Is that correct?
Yeah, more or less. Yeah, and it was exactly 4 years ago yesterday that I got on Twitter.